Yeah, hi everyone, Rob here. This is going to be probably a long video. My videos are very long, so that's just a warning for people who are not used to them. If you are used to it, grab yourself a drink or a cup of coffee, get back to your work and have a listen to what I'm chatting about. I'm just going to talk about the Lumia 920, which I've now had since last November. And on my channel, if you want to check out my channel, I have a very, very long series of videos, about 5.5 hours or so, a video review of this phone. And since then I did another review with what was called the Portico update, about the before and afters with the photos. I've also done some case reviews. This case here is reviewed on my channel and a few others. And then that was all I did. Okay, I think that was all the videos. Now I'm back here to do what is probably going to be the last video about this phone. I will be keeping the phone in future, until I get something else in future, but I don't think there's a whole lot else to say about it. So this is just going to be a recap of what's happened, especially in light of some of the questions I've had on the channel, and some problems the phone has had, and so on. Generally, I mean, I might sound like I'm being negative about the phone, but the experience is overwhelmingly positive. I just point out the negative because that's more valuable when you're trying to figure out what's going wrong. People want to know what goes wrong, not what goes right. Everything else goes right. That's the fundamental situation here. Okay, let me start with the biggest problem I had, and it relates to a question that keeps coming up in my channel. And the question is about battery life and whether the phone has problems with battery, freezing, lockups, reboots, that sort of thing. Now, with the very first ROM that these phones came with, there were most certainly problems with freezing and random reboots, overheating, all kinds of things. It was a brand new operating system at the time. The apps were all completely new, freshly rewritten for this, and so I expected there to be plenty of teething problems, and there were. I was prepared for that. I didn't really care. The phone generally worked, and I'm prepared to grow with the phone. So eventually the Portico update showed up, which was primarily about the camera app, improving the sharpness on the camera, which worked to a degree. You can check out my video on that. But it also had various other improvements in the operating system, and the whole thing stabilized quite a bit. Battery life improved as well, and I was pretty happy with the battery. I don't do any battery management. I just leave everything on, all the live tiles, all the background processes, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, everything's on. And it was okay. I'd mostly get a day out of it. Then it started to, after those reviews I did, it started at one point to drain the battery quite drastically. I'd been trying lots of apps and doing those reviews and stuff, and then all of a sudden it just drained. Like within 3 or 4 hours it would lose 80% of its battery. And it did that for a few days, and I couldn't figure out what it was. I decided I would do a hard reset on the phone, just let it wipe and restore itself back to factory refresh, factory start, and then just install things one at a time and try and see if I could determine what the problem was. So I set about backing everything up, and I was just playing with the phone, and all of a sudden I realized that in here, in the settings, under email accounts, one of the accounts was grayed out and it said syncing on it. It's like the Facebook there says not up to date. I don't know why. Sync. So it was just syncing, and it stayed synchronizing. See, like that, Facebook just did for a moment. And it just would stay like that. And that was what the problem was. It was permanently syncing. It wouldn't stop syncing. And so the fix for that was to go onto the webmail server, onto the actual email server, completely wipe out the inbox, and then restart everything. And it came back, and it was fine. So it was some kind of corrupt email or something that was doing it. It did it again shortly thereafter, and I just did the same again, and it hasn't done it since. It's been no problem. But that was the problem. That's what was draining the battery. So you never know what might drain your battery. That's a teething issue with the operating system again. I mean, really, Microsoft should have some system in here that it doesn't let an account just permanently sync. It should detect it. It should go, well, this has been syncing for 2 minutes, or an hour. I'll just stop and just put up a warning or something. That's what should happen. So who knows? Maybe one day they'll do that. But for now, that solved that problem. Now, I decided to go ahead with the hard reset anyway, because I'm that kind of guy. I thought I'll just wipe it, keep it all clean. I quite like doing that. I like having everything really clean. And so I did that. Did the hard reset, I think just using the menus in the system. Somewhere in there's a setting to do that. And the phone bricked. I got the spinning cogs screen, a couple of those big cogs, and they sit there and they spin away. And there's no way out of it. I tried everything. I spent 2 days trying every possible fix that was online, published online. Nothing would bring it back. And so it's well and truly bricked. I did learn that lots of people were having this problem. And chances are, if you have a Portico updated Lumia 920, if you do a hard reset, it will probably freeze. It'll probably brick itself. The fix is to reflash it, or have it reflashed. These days, you really have to take it somewhere and have it reflashed. Take it to your Nokia service center or send it somewhere, and they always do that anyway. They wipe the phone, they reflash it, comes back with the latest ROM, sometimes even later than whatever's available at the time, publicly available. You just get the very latest ROM. Before I sent it back, I decided to try what was a published process for using Nokia Care Suite to reflash the phone. And that was very good. I downloaded the ROM. I was able to get not just the current ROM, but also the 1308 ROM, which was just fresh out and wasn't due out for quite a long time here. But the exact one from my phone was available. So I downloaded that, reflashed the phone, and it came back 20 minutes later, and it has been absolutely perfect and flawless ever since. Vastly better than it was. Everything improved. Stability, battery life, just everything improved. And it's been perfect. No freezes, no crashes, no reboots, nothing like that at all. And the battery is very, very good. And so I guess the lesson there, 2 things. Be wary of hard resetting your phone if you're on Portico. Try and get your phone flashed if you can, up to the 1308 or later. And until then, if you have battery or stability issues, well, that's the fix. That's really what you need to do. Get it updated. As well as getting the ROM updated, you should update all those Nokia apps. And in order to do that, I've been using this app here called Lumia Pusher. That's a handy little app where someone has just aggregated direct links to all these Nokia apps from the store. And because these don't show up often for quite a while automatically, sometimes a couple of weeks later, so this lets you go straight to the extras and info, for example, because these are real updates for the phone. And if there's an update, it'll say install. So you just come in here after you've reflashed your phone. You click through these and make sure you've got the very latest one of each. It also has other apps here, other Nokia apps. For example, the storage check, which you should get as well. I'll just show you that in a moment. In any case, after doing that, the phone has been perfect. The battery, I will mention how the battery has been. It started off very, very good. Instead of getting a day, I would get something more like, down to 20% or 30% at the end of the day, 30% say. But just in the last 5-6 weeks, something's changed again. I mean, I've messed up my charging in the last 2 days, but normally all I do is I plug my phone in when I go to bed into the wall charger next to my bed, and I tend to use it all night. I listen to audio or something, and then I unplug it when I get up, and that's all I do. I never charge it during the day, and this is what's been happening. So this app called Battery, which is a nice battery meter app you should get off the store. It's just called Battery, nothing else. This is where I unplug it, I use it for the day, and that's when I plug it in at night again. Now, on this particular day, it only went down to 63% or so, and then charges up within an hour. So by the end of the day, I had 60% left. Right? Over here, the day before, over 70% left. Over here, over 50% left. Over 40% left. So there was an interesting pattern, 40% left, and so on. Again, 60%. And what I noticed was I was getting a heck of a battery life. Excellent battery life. End of the day, 70, 80% left even. 60% left. Sometimes I'd be doing a lot of heavy usage. And even on those days when I'm, these typical days here like this, I use the phone constantly. That's not gaming, and that's not a lot of photography or video shooting, but that is phone calls, that's OneNote, that's Scrabble and Wordament, definitely lots of news reading. Basically, I pull the phone out of my pocket anytime I stop moving. I pull it out and I pull up a news story. So that's normal usage like that. And see, look at this excellent battery life. So if you want to know how the battery is, several people have asked about this. It's really good. It's really, really good. See these? Excellent battery life. Now, I don't know why it's doing that, but one theory I have is because I'm being extremely regular with the charge and discharge cycle, I'm not plugging it in repeatedly during the day. I wonder if that's helping. So it just drains to a point and then gets a full charge. Drains to a point, gets a full charge. It's not just sort of being topped up 10 times a day or anything. And so I'm just going to keep doing that. So I'm quite happy with the battery life. So that's just a point of interest for people asking about that. The related item was the memory. Now, this app here, Lumia Storage Check, I'm sure you've all been online and you've seen the issues about the fact that Windows Phone, come on, focus, there, that Windows Phone fills up a temporary folder with files over time and doesn't clear them out properly. And all the phones have that issue. I have that issue, it's here, it doesn't bug me because it's never much. And I actually, yesterday, see right now it says temporary files 537 megs. No, I actually cleared this. It was 600 and something yesterday, and it went down to 450. Hurry up and focus, you silly camera. Sorry about this camera. Oh, I don't know what to do about it. Okay. Let me just try clearing that. It's not going to clear anything, but 537 clear. 532, 5 megs, whoop-de-doo. It always seems to have about that much in there. My wife's been on holiday in Europe and had, 2,500 megs or so, 2.5 gigabytes in the other thing, and she used that to clear it out as well. It never goes down to nothing, but it gets rid of most of it, so that's good. I do that. Hasn't been a problem. And they'll be fixing that in one of the updates. This app is great because you can see exactly what is using the most space on your device, and you can remove apps and maps and whatever you want. You can also spot a rogue device that has a whole lot of cached data. For example, Pandora has, for some reason, I've got, looks like 120 or so megs of data sitting in it. So, well worth getting. Okay, moving on. Regarding updates, I'll have a quick word about the Amber update, which is the next ROM update, and also contains updates from Nokia and Microsoft. And of significance for me, the FM radio should be added to this phone because they've got the FM radio in it, and that will be re-enabled. I had the FM radio in the Lumia 800. It's really nice. I like the radio in the phone. I do use it. And so I'll be looking forward to getting that back. That'll be nice. It's also going to have this always-on clock, which I don't believe is going to work on the 920, which has the LCD screen. I'm pretty sure that's only made for the LED screens where the phone can turn on just those LEDs that are needed for the clock and leave the rest off. Well, with an LCD, of course, the whole screen is on all the time. The backlight is on, so how can you have an always-on clock when the backlight has to be on? So I'm not sure how that's going to work, but the sites seem to be reporting that the always-on clock is there for all devices. We'll have to see about that. Double tap to wake. I'm not sure about that. My phone's always going on in my pocket anyway. I don't want it to wake up just by double tapping, so I don't know why that's a highly desired feature. Unless maybe it's for people who use the device, you know, just on their desk all the time and they just want to tap it on to see notifications. I guess that would make sense. Maybe it's good for that. And there's also going to be hopefully a better camera app, because the Windows Phone camera app's not that great, as I mentioned in my previous video. So that should be coming along in a while, probably months for some of us, a couple months for lucky ones. And I'll look forward to that. Someone else, Quiet Riot, I'm just going through my questions here on YouTube. Quiet Riot asks, how does the forum perform when streaming movies? Well, I don't know if I specifically tested that, but in my review. But let's go to this YouTube app. This is the new Microsoft one that they put out a while ago, and then Google got all mad at them, started crying because it didn't have ads in it or something. And I have not updated this app because the first release was really, really nice, and that's the one I wanted to keep. So I haven't been updating that because they've removed features from it now, and I don't want that. I want to keep it as is. So this is still that app. And I can come in here and pull up a 1080p clip. Now I've looked at these 1080p clips online on my desktop, and in my tablet review I've used them. And I use them because they don't exist in any other format on the site. At least from memory they don't. If I just hop along to YouTube online, that's playing now. That's the 1080p clip, which looks very nice. And I'm just checking this online. And I'm not sure how the phone handles the size, but if you go online to these 1080p videos, oh, that particular one does come in different formats. But from memory, one of these, like maybe it's that one, Planet Earth, oh, that's got all the sizes as well. Oh well. In that case, I don't know how to make this play at 720 or 1080. Obviously, the phone doesn't display 1080. Region, video streaming quality, high quality. That'll be the highest. Okay, so let's do that. We'll see how it goes. I mean, I'm absolutely certain it's going to be flawless, which it is. Beautiful. Oh, that does look nice. Yeah, no problem with that. Yes, beautiful. Quiet Riot, yes, streaming works very, very well. Never had any problem streaming video on this. Always, never stutters. So I hope if you get yourself one of these, I hope it satisfies your video streaming needs. What else? People are complaining about the memory. Okay, I've pretty much actually covered most of the main questions that I wanted to cover. They were really about battery and the other storage and the video streaming. Let me just cover a couple of issues with apps that I've had since my last review. I am not a huge app consumer. I do go check the store out now and then. Probably mainly just look at websites, and if I see an app that I like on a site, I'll try it out on my phone maybe. I don't spend a lot of time on apps. I've been pretty messy with my screen, and so I'm actually quite happy with all the apps. I see the apps that get updated, you know, the latest Twitter and the latest Facebook, which is on here now, which is a lot fancier than the previous one. So obviously if you haven't got that, you know, and you like Facebook, get it. It's very nice. It's not very Windows Phone anymore. It's got buttons at the top, which is not very smart. That's very iOS and Androids, but whatever. It'll keep the Facebook fans happier than the last app did. Personally, I'm happy with the People Hub for Facebook and just sharing photos. That's all I need to do. So quite happy with that. The other thing of interest is, so I don't spend a lot of time looking at apps, so I can't really comment on that. Mostly the same apps I had on this when I did my review. Games, I have tried out plenty of games. I look for games that are free. If you keep an eye on the websites, you know, Windows Phone Central and, you know, Power User and all those sites, there's the Nokia blogs and so on, they will tell you if there's some free apps, because some of these apps are free for a day every now and then, and so you just get them then, which is nice. And I don't really like these Angry Birds and so on. Didn't really like any of these. iStunt wasn't too bad. But my favorite apps are still Wordament. Games are still Wordament and AlphaJax. I play a lot of AlphaJax. So if you, here's something you can do. If you want to play me in AlphaJax, add me, Robex Man. Add me as your friend. And then you can increase my list of, 5 friends and buy a few more. That would be pretty cool. I quite like playing that, in any case. And I did try out the very fancy game Modern Combat. 1.6 gigabytes, downloaded the trial, tried it out. It was it's beautifully done, really nicely done. It's sort of a rail shooter where it's not free roaming FPS. You're sort of really following the game quite strictly. Ultimately, it's too hard to control. A game like that's too hard to control. They've made it so that it half plays itself, but it's hard to control. It's hard to see what's going on. So I didn't really enjoy it. I didn't buy it. But it's nice to see games like that making their way onto this platform, because that's one of those gaps in the ecosystem. And if I was a teenager, I'd probably love it. I'd probably be quite happy to spend my time messing with the game. Okay, but not anymore. I tried this thing out, Indigo. This is sort of a Siri type of replacement. Interesting. I think these things fail in one area, and that is you still have to learn what it can do and how to tell it what to do. You know, that's the problem with all of these voice apps. You can't just talk at it. It's a really good effort, this one. And you can do, what can I say? And it tells you what it can do. Tell me a joke, ask me a riddle, horoscope, you know, things on Facebook, alarms, facts, emails, texts, all that sort of thing. But you really got to learn all that. You know, it's a bit of a pain. But it's nicely done, that. Actually, surprisingly well done. Just, I really haven't got the inclination to learn all the commands. And if you just try and talk at it randomly, you know, it's sort of amusing, but you're not really getting anything out of it if you do that. Not getting the best use out of it. This is interesting. Microsoft released a network speed test. You can test your network. Oops, that's washed out. There we go. Okay, pretty high latency at the moment. Pretty slow speed. But still plenty fast. It's all faster than you need. And the worst is, of course, always the upload speed. That's pretty miserable. But it's interesting. You can see if your network stays the same over time, you know, if you've got any issues. That's pretty bad performance. and it keeps a history. Not sure what it's doing with the additional tests, but it keeps a history of, I'll let it finish. Upload speed 0.05 megabits per second, download 10. I think I had 14 or 15 the other day. There's a little bar there, it's finishing what it's doing. Done. Yeah, and then there's the history over here. So I got 14 the other day, similar latency. Well, there you go. That's fun enough. Pandora, of course, is out. I use that. I've actually been using that a fair bit, mainly because it's free for a year for Windows Phone users. You don't have to pay to get rid of the ads and to be able to skip songs. I actually use it just for comedy. Because for music I use Xbox Music. I'm not that interested in listening to random playlists of music. I mean, I could just listen to the radio if I want that. But I do come in here and I listen to the comedy. And it's quite fun. You know, you fire up a playlist with Jimmy Carr. And away you go. The only trouble with that has been, well, I've actually heard it all now. I've pretty much heard everything on Pandora in the comedy section. Because I've been through all these different sections. And there's quite a bit, but not that much. You know, I mean, there's a couple of Jimmy Carr albums on there, so you hear them once, there you go, you've heard them. Still, it's good, it's worth it. Other things in here. Okay, this is new. I'll quickly touch on this feature. Where's my little radio? Here we go. Let's just have a looky. Okay, there's a radio. And we have, of course, this is now new where I live. This wasn't working, even though it was an advertised feature of Windows Phone. It never worked. So go to Bing and get this extra icon, the music. Listening for music. Okay, that's telling me it's the Captain, okay? I can go to the store and find that track, but let me go back here. Let me go to SoundHound, which is the app we've always had on the phone. That does the same thing. Okay, that's found it as well, so that's good. The interesting thing about this app is that it actually, quite often it puts the lyric up and lets you see what's going on in real time. That's quite neat, but there's also the other app that's on all the other platforms, which is Shazam, which is a slightly more confusing app, but it does the same thing. There we go. Launch it. There we go. So all three of those apps found it. Now the interesting thing here is if I look and check these out, right? So there's all three. They've all three found it. They can all go to the store and get the app. You know, there's Xbox Music. There's a little markup button down there, and here it's just got a button to the store. Trouble is, I can switch from that to that, and there it is. And if I switch to this one, it's gone. Bing doesn't hold your search. It doesn't hold the thing that you just searched. So it's gone, which is a bit irritating. So it's nice to see that back, but that was the very first thing I noticed, is that you lose your search as soon as you look away. But nice to have it built in. I will probably uninstall the other apps because I'd rather just have this one. It's simple, pretty rudimentary, gets the job done. Because I do use that. I do sometimes make it listen to a song and find it for me in the store. I'm still using Xbox Music Past. I like it. They actually seem to add stuff. I've noticed that when I keep searching repeatedly for certain things, after a while they actually got some of the things. And I don't know if that's because I was searching for those things, but I thought it was interesting. I kept searching for the Jezebels, which weren't on there, and then finally, all of a sudden, the albums were all there. So I was pretty pleased about that. Same for Tony Hancock, comedian. I listened to all his stuff. They just had the same few tracks repeatedly on different albums. So now, all of a sudden, now they got a whole bunch of extra albums, entire albums, with full track listing. So that's really great. I was pleased to see that. So it is actually growing, which is nice to see. I like that. That seems to be working quite well. Syncs to the desktop and my tablet as well. So as I mentioned in my review, I only use Xbox Music for music now. My desktop music collection, I took out of the music folder and don't even touch it anymore. My old, random collection of MP3s and WMAs and whatever else, I don't even touch them anymore. I don't care about them. I'll save those for the day that I cancel my music pass, maybe. Okay, what else? Now, here's a problem. My wife went off to Europe on a trip. She took her 920 with her. The plan was to use the phone every day with a data plan that she was purchasing from here to get around. And in emergencies, of course, the offline mapping and everything would help as well. Well, you'd think so. Not so fast, buddy. Few issues. First, the data plan failed. Vodafone's data plan totally failed her. She spent hours on the phone to support, couldn't get it working. It just wouldn't work. Couldn't get any data working. So she actually spent the whole trip with no data over cellular, and only data when she got onto Wi-Fi in the evenings. So that was a bit of a problem. Well, you'd think you've got, here maps, because we did actually preload all the maps for Belgium, France, the UK, Switzerland, Liechtenstein. We loaded these into the phone, right? Typical problem. She was trying to find a place in the Black Forest in Germany. Now, if you've grown up on planet Earth, you've heard of the Black Forest. It's pretty famous. And she couldn't find it. So she called me up here on the other side of the world. And I opened and I'm thinking, why can't you find that? So I come here, type in Black Forest, right? What do I get? Black Forest horse tricks. Well, what the hell's that? Okay. So it's obviously giving me some sort of local result, 90 kilometers away, it says. But it's giving me Black Forest horse tricks. Okay. Well, not very smart. You look at the other results, horse tracks, Black Forest in Adelaide, South Australia, right? I don't know how that compares to the next local result, which is actually I don't know why that's in there, but that's a few miles away. So is that, Black Forest, Australia, and so on down the list, and that's it. There is nothing to do with the actual Black Forest, right? So, and this is on Wi-Fi. This is now on the internet. This is on Wi-Fi. No Black Forest. Why not? Why is there no Black Forest on here maps? Okay. So, not at all happy with that. I did tell her to take Gmaps with her, because we all know Google Maps is a different kettle of fish. Google Maps works off the internet and Google Local and Google Places, and it can find things. Their index is completely different. It's because it's not a sat-nav. The Nokia Here Maps is a sat-nav when it's in offline mode. But when it's in online mode, it should find things. It should find the Black Forest, for God's sakes. Okay. Clear the map. Obviously, I've been to it. Let's go somewhere else. I came in here. Get rid of what I've typed. Start a time BLACK space FO, and it does its little search thing. And bingo, Black Forest, Germany. Why the hell would you do anything else but that? This is where I'm having a bit of a rant about the Here Maps. I mean, that's the Black Forest. Why would you have anything else? Why would it show me the horse trekking place up the road here, and then not show me the actual Black Forest anywhere? I even tried it in German, because I put it in German. Doesn't bring it up. Nothing brought it up. So I was a bit miffed about that. Went on to Here Maps Online and typed it in there on here.com, and wouldn't you know, it comes up. You can get the Black Forest there. Why? I don't know. So next solution, possible solution, go here, go to here.com, right, on your phone. Use the website. But of course, if you've got a Windows phone, it dumps you into the Here Maps app from the browser. You can't use the website from your phone. If you have an Android or an iPhone, you can, but not this one. So, this is it was turning into a bit of a fail. Wasn't very happy with that at all. So I went to the Here site and put a complaint on the blog about that. They listen. They want to know what's wrong. They want to know what doesn't work. So I told them that doesn't work. It's pretty dumb. If you've got a mapping app, you type in something like that, it can't find it. That's pretty bad. Okay. So just be aware of that. Here Maps it's not the same thing as Google Maps at all. Not at all the same thing. It's a good sat-nav type of system combined with Here Drive. But it's not a mapping system like Google Maps. Okay. Enough of that rant. Everything else, SkyDrive, love it. Office, love it. These other apps, I've been very messy with my start screen. Someone asked me, Tommy Goisens or Goosens asked me about the start screen on my phone. I have to say I'm not very tidy with my start screen. If there's only one tip I can give you is that if you have a thumb like me, I haven't got a very big thumb. I haven't got very big hands, so I have more trouble reaching to the other side of the phone and very often touch the Bing button with my palm, so I sort of avoid that side. I put my small tiles here on the right, in the right-hand column, and big tiles on the left, so I don't have to reach over to get a small tile. Certainly don't have a small tile up in the top corner because it's hard to get to. So I just keep my small tiles here on the right. I've been using a lot of big tiles lately because I quite liked that with Windows Phone 7, that appearance. There's obviously plenty of vertical space, but I'm not putting as much on my start screen. I'm actually putting most things here on this now, just leaving things there, because I found that when I had everything on my start screen, I would not look here anymore, and I'd miss apps. So now I actually leave lots of apps here and force myself to come in here to find my podcasts or whatever. And that way I actually see apps that I forget about, and I use them. And so I'm quite happy using this list. Don't mind using that at all. And not too fussed about the start screen. I mean, here I want the live tiles and the main things up in this first little bit. Music and games and my office things, but my calendar especially, and the phone, email and so on. But the rest can live on the start menu. It doesn't have to be here. Okay. Next. What have we got going on? I guess at the end of all that, I'd just like to have a quick word about, what's next. This week, we're in July 2013, and we're about a week away from Nokia's next phone release, next big phone release, which is, everyone knows. We don't know if it's going to be called the 909 or the 1020. I would not be surprised if it was the 909, because 1020, I think this phone is going to face a problem with tech reviewers. If it's not technically superior to the 808 Symbian phone, which has the same 41 megapixel camera, and was out a year and a half ago, I think the bloggers are going to slag it off a bit. They're going to be a bit disappointed. And there's a good chance that it is actually just going to be the same, because they could have only done two things. One would be to add optical image stabilization like we have in the 920, and the other would be to make the device smaller. which everyone was of course hoping for as well, because the 808 it's quite large and thick and a bit weird looking, sort of a retro looking phone, not as sleek as the monster device that the 920 is. And so sticking that huge camera into a optical image stabilizer would make it even bigger. So I don't know what they're going to do about that. And we've all seen the leaked renders of the phone, and looks about 15 millimeters thick or so. The rest of the body is basically like the 920. It's supposed to be like a millimeter or so thinner. So chances are they've used their development since then to make the whole thing smaller, and thus make a much smaller, more compact phone, because of course it's going to be a big phone with this big thing on it, which I think is a pretty good spot. That circle they've got here, quite a large thing. I think it's the neat thing about it is that when you're holding the phone, you're not even going to know it's there. It just sits on the back. You're not going to feel it. It's not going to be in the way. It might give you a little bit of your finger something to rest against, but I think generally it's not going to be, you're not really going to notice it, the big hump on the camera. So it's probably not so bad, but I don't think they've put it into an optical image stabilizer, although I really hope they have. But you see, there's a case to be made for just using digital image stabilization because you've got a 41 megapixel camera. Why wouldn't you? You've got plenty of pixels to do it. So it sort of makes sense to do that. But we'll just have to see what happens. I think the rest of the phone is going to be pretty much exactly like these, the Lumia 920, 928, 925. Spec-wise, it's not going to have a quad core. It's not going to have a high-res screen higher than this. My view doesn't need either of those. If it's as good as this, that's all it needs to be. It would be nice if they gave it a 64 gig memory card, but whatever. If it's just got 32, it's still plenty. Another quick comment about my wife who was traveling overseas. She used, we set her camera up to use SkyDrive to upload photos at full resolution to SkyDrive on Wi-Fi. And without her even thinking about it, I checked her SkyDrive every now and then, and sure enough, over the 5 weeks, just because she went online now and then in the evenings from random places to do emails and whatever, all her photos, over 2,000 photos, are sitting on her SkyDrive, full resolution. So this idea that you don't need to use cards, it actually works. It does actually work. She didn't have to use data for that. It cost nothing, and all her photos are sitting on SkyDrive, backed up. She could lose the phone, and she'd still have the photos. So that was really good. That was really successful. And plus I could see the photos from here, before the trip was over, so that was nice. The 909 or 1010 camera, if it's got 32 gig, that's probably fine. Don't really know. It's supposed to have a better camera, which will be nice, because the camera in this in the Windows Phone 8 is not that great. And should one buy it if one already has a 920? Obviously only if you want the camera. That's the only reason to get it. Otherwise it's the same phone. At the moment we've of course got the 925 and the 928 out as well. Should you buy one of those if you got a 920? Of course not. It's the same phone. There's really no benefit in any of those phones. If you're buying a brand new Nokia, if you want a Windows Phone now, this is probably the biggest dilemma. Do you buy a 900 series now, or do you wait? I think if you're keen on this 41 megapixel camera, yes, wait till next week. See what the launch date is going to be in your country, and decide, make a decision then. They're saying the price in the US will be $600 odd. I don't know. That's I think higher than these were. I'm not sure what these launched at, but I think that is higher. But if you're not after that camera, there's no reason to not get a 920 or a 25 or 28 now, because the follow-up, the next flagship after that is a long way off. something with a quad-core and a 1080p screen, that's a long way off. That's not happening too soon, so don't hold your breath for that. If I was buying a new one right now, I would probably go out of my way to get a 925 because I don't like the white and the silver one that I've seen, but I like the black one, which you seldom see online, but it does look very nice. And of course you get the nice thin phone. It's about 40 or 50 grams lighter than this. The only thing you lose is the wireless charging, but I haven't got that. I would like wireless charging in the car, but I don't really need it at home. As I say, I only plug it in once a night, and because I plug it in with the wire, I can sit in bed and read and listen to podcasts and whatever and play Scrabble, finish off my games, and I can fall asleep. And because I do, I just fall asleep and the phone falls out of my hands and it's still charging. That's the point. If I had to put it on a wireless charger, it wouldn't make it. It wouldn't make it to the charger. So I don't really need it at home. I would get one in the car because on holidays it would be very, very useful. And so Nokia do a car holder with a wireless charging thing in it. That's just new out. Might consider getting one of those. Maybe. Not sure. Think about it. So I would probably go for a black 925 now if I were buying one of these new. If I couldn't get the 25, the toss-up between the 920, I'd probably get the 920. I think the design is a little bit more pure. I don't need the xenon flash. That's not a feature I want. I think it runs counter to the low light capabilities of this phone to have a flash. I never use a flash. Don't want to use a flash on a photo. That's why I've got the 920, because it's got excellent low light capabilities without a flash. So I would probably get a 920 if I couldn't get a 925. The other Nokia, there's a second Nokia also due out at the same time. This is a frightening app, this face swap. You should check out the another new phone coming out at the same time as the 1020-909 is no one seems to know what it is, but there's a chance that it might be a device with a large screen, like a 5-inch screen, something like that, or 5-inch or larger even, I don't know. My guess is that it probably will be a device with a large screen, but it won't be a flagship device. It'll probably be something like the equivalent of a 620 or a 720 with a large screen. And the idea is that if it was a flagship device, the bloggers would require that it have 1080p, quad-core, all the latest Android specs. And they would really, really knock it down if it didn't. And because it's not going to, I already know that, I think if they launched it as a mid-range device with a very large screen, that would actually get a lot more slack. People might be much more open to the idea of a nice mid-range Nokia with a large screen, just for that market that really wants the big screen. So it could be a phone like that. It's possible. There we go. That's what I think we're going to see next week. Should be fun. I think I should wrap up there because there's really nothing else to say. Look forward to a couple more videos that I'm going to do about the camera. I'm going to do one about exposure values, and I'm going to do one about ISO, because on my favorite Nokia UK channel, where they have hired an external company to do some videos about photos and so on, I had a look at their videos again, and they really don't know what they're talking about, and so they've got some very misleading videos up about exposure and ISO. So I'm going to do a couple videos to explain what those actually are and how to use them in your phone like this. And so maybe look forward to those. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. Subscribe if you'd like to see more. There will be more. And thank you for watching. And congratulations for getting this far through my videos. Okay, we'll catch you again soon. Bye-bye.